I'm Christine Everhart. This week on a special edition of NewsFront, the world the hero leaves behind. What is the final cost of intervention from groups like the Avengers? Who do they answer to in the wake of their actions? Joining me on the program is political correspondent Will Adams. Thank you for being here, Will.
Thank you for having me,
Are
Christine.
you scared?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
We're friends, so and friends who disagree. So this is going to be interesting.
Let's get at it. Okay. Our superpowered advocates have intervened time and time again in international incidents to great effect. But who accounts for the devastation they leave behind?
Well, the question for me, Christine, isn't if or even should our heroes be allowed to operate independently. It's why shouldn't they? Discoveries are still being made in the massive cache of classified material released by former SHIELD agent Natasha Romanoff. And the leak clearly details how the organization known as Hydra was able to infiltrate the highest ranks of SHIELD and had organized a massive conspiracy on the civilian population. Romanoff's actions, independent from oversight, saved us from what could have been a catastrophic outcome had Hydra been able to remain undiscovered.
Romanoff's actions, along with the actions of Steve Rogers and Tony Stark and others over the years, may have been admirable.
Their actions saved hundreds of thousands of people.
But that's not the question. We're talking about the collateral damage. This week in our ongoing special report, we'll look back on the events in New York, D.C., Sokovia, asking you, the viewer, if the growing concern from governments around the world should see the Avengers submit to international oversight, or if they should remain free to act independent from government regulation.
I look forward to you trying to convince me that anything they've done is less than admirable.
You look forward to me winning. We look forward to hearing from you throughout the week. For news on this topic and others, Google search WHIH online and follow us on Twitter. On behalf of Will Adams, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
And myself, thank you for watching. Hello, I'm Christine Everhart.
I'm Will Adams.
Superheroes like Steve Rogers and Tony Stark routinely leave behind considerable and costly destruction to property during the course of their various exploits.
We decided to ask you, the viewer, whether or not there should be a special tax to pay for damages these heroes caused during what Christine described as exploits, but I refer to as the times they saved us all.
But the question remains, should the financial responsibility fall on the people causing the damage, or the citizens who are left to pick up the pieces?
Yes, you all need to decide whether or not you'd rather pay more taxes or be alive.
We hit the streets to hear from you.
I don't have a cool shield or a flying suit of armor, and I can't fight, but I can clean up.
They put their lives on the line to save us, and not a lot of people would do that.
They do a lot of good, but innocent people had to pick up the pieces.
Tony Stark's got enough money to fix New York 10 times over.
Obviously, they should pay for it.
I was in New York during the invasion. Seeing what the Avengers did, I'm proud my tax dollars are helping with reconstruction.
As you can see, mixed reactions all around. This has been a special report from WHIH. For news on this topic and others, Google search WHIH online and follow us on Twitter. I'm Will Adams.
And I'm Christine Everhart. Thank you for watching. I'm Christine Everhart.
And I'm Will Adams.
From New York to Sokovia, we have witnessed a series of catastrophic events that have threatened the safety of the entire planet. While these crises were resolved as the result of the noble actions of Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, and others, cities like Johannesburg, Seoul, and Washington, D.C. are still on the mend due in large part to the tactical response of these heroes. President Ellis has yet to weigh in publicly on the matter, but he recently appointed formerly retired General Thaddeus Ross as Secretary of State. And now, joining us from the White House to discuss General Ross's nomination and more is President Ellis. Good evening, Mr. President. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a very busy man.
My pleasure to be with you.
Increasing numbers of world leaders are calling for oversight of the Avengers, especially in light of recent events and sensitive data being leaked to the public. Simply put, What is your position on this?
We've experienced a series of grave events that have had severe repercussions. I am completely sensitive to the fear and concern that creates. But at the same time, I recognize what men like Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, and others have done in the face of these attacks.
Mr. President, Will Adams here. I definitely agree with you. Their actions have exemplified valor and self-sacrifice. Isn't it essential that our heroes be able to maintain their independence?
Well, my appreciation for their efforts shouldn't be misconstrued as a blank check. The Avengers need to collaborate with governments around the globe. That's why my administration is exploring ways to create an official relationship with these heroes.
Are you hoping that as Secretary of State, General Ross would be able to facilitate these negotiations?
The general is no stranger to these types of incidents, and he has long-standing relationships with many of these heroes, and was instrumental in spearheading the response to the emergencies at both Culver University and Harlem. He served this country with distinction for several decades, and I believe he can work with our allies abroad and alongside these heroes.
We're certainly all waiting to see what the outcome will be. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. President.
Thank you, and God bless America.
I wouldn't mind hearing from our heroes directly, as they're the ones who have seen firsthand what government oversight can lead to.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I totally agree with you.
Yes, let's get Tony Stark in here.
Tony Stark.
It's probably more difficult to get than President Ellis, unfortunately.
I would take Captain America as well. Really interesting stuff here. Thank you, as always, to Will Adams. And again, thank you very much, President Ellis. For news on this topic and others, Google search WHIH online and follow us on Twitter. I'm Christine Everhart. On behalf of Will Adams, thank you for watching.